And welcome to the VSA Capital Tech and Transitional Energy Podcast on Thursday, the 23rd of February. Morning, Phil. How you doing?
Hey, very good, Andrew. Yes, we've had a good week, as they say.
Yeah, we've had a good week, really, because we successfully concluded, I suppose whether you want to call it last night or this morning, a fundraise for Invinity Energy Systems. We raised £19 million. Plus an additional subscription of £2.5 million from Everbright, which is a Taiwanese company that wants to basically do the distribution of vanadium flow batteries across the whole of Taiwan. And we launched an open offer for £4 million, which, judging by the phone calls I've been getting today, will probably be taken up in full. So in other words, we've probably raised in total about £25 million for Invinity Energy Systems, which allows them to go an awful long way. Certainly, it will allow them basically get to commercial release date with as they put it, their major European supplier that everybody knows is Siemens Gamesa, and the launch of Mistral. And we believe that once Mistral is launched, because basically the levelized cost of storage comes down to about $50 a megawatt hour, which is basically the same as it would be if you were using gas, i.e. the solar and the battery, which would be actually combined about 80. It will become the cheapest form of energy out there, because it'll be basically below gas. And therefore, I mean, in our view, the whole world, and I've said this many times, will go to SWB, solar wind batteries, and vanadium flow batteries will be a large part of it. You are talking gigawatts, hundreds of gigawatts of batteries. The problem that Invinity are going to have is not a demand issue. Demand is going to way outstrip supply. What they've got to do now is get on and get people, outsource all the manufacturing so that they can produce literally gigawatts of this stuff. I think it's incredibly exciting. Clearly, the stock has been disappointing. We did the placing at 32p. The market sort of saw it coming. Phil, I think you're looking next year for revenue of about just over 50 million. I don't think you have a forecast yet for 25, but I know that Canaccord, I think, have a forecast out there of about 115 million for 2025. When you've got revenue like that and a market cap sitting down here as we are today about 35 million, it's absolutely ludicrous. I think this stock's going to be a phenomenal performer over the next 2 years. I mean, to me, it'll end up as a £1 billion company. There's a fantastic opportunity here for investors to really make a lot of money, in my view. I know I've said it many a time before, but, it's a bit like the dot-com boom. Everything rushes up. People think it'll all happen in 6 months. It never does. So it all comes crashing back down again. But then, as we know, after the dot-com boom and then the dot-com crash, if you then followed those tech stocks, the FANGs and things like that, over the next 10 years, they were tremendous performers. And I think you'll see exactly the same thing here.
Yeah.
Have you got anything you'd like to add on that, Phil?
Frankly, no. But other than to say it's, firstly, I think we are doing a superb job in supporting UK advanced engineering here, but also, just in terms of the market opportunity, there was data out from the International Energy Agency, the IEA in the States, hugely respected government body, and they have said that to decarbonise electricity globally, the world's energy storage capacity must increase by a factor of 40-fold by 2030, reaching a total of 700 gigawatts. It's a huge market opportunity.
LDES, as it's known, long duration energy storage, is probably one of the biggest growth areas in the world at the moment. And this is the way to get exposure to it and get exposure to it at literally rock bottom prices.
Yeah.
We can say no more. If you don't believe us, so be it.
There we are. Right. Go on, Andrew. What have you?
Well, the other one that maybe we should mention in our sort of preamble is on Monday, Silverwood put out an RNS, and actually we as VSA had to also sort of match that RNS because we have a big position in Silverwood because we took a fee in stock. Announced that the transfer they were doing between Andrew Gerry and his wife Alison to Silverwood of their stock. Lush have declined to register the transfer. Now we need to be careful not to get into any legal situations. Probably will go legal. It sort of doesn't matter actually because the commercial interest has already moved across and is going to stay across. Andrew Gerry just becomes a nominee name. We're all used to nominee names. I mean, I bet you hold all your stocks that you own, Phil, all the millions of them, in a nominee name. I own all mine in a nominee. Everybody actually owns all their stock in a nominee name. So actually, it's just like holding it in a nominee name. So it's happened. You've got a question, and we did say it in the VSA RNS, why a company that claims to be ethical and morally correct, etc., is behaving in what would appear to be a very unethical and immoral way, and are clearly prejudiced towards a minority shareholder. We actually do know a lot about this situation, and actually, just to quote, it was in the Sunday Times about 3 months ago, where they did run an article in the Sunday Times which pointed out that the Employee Benefit Trust for Lush always declines its dividends, which is dividends are paid out to the founder, Mark Constantine, and the other shareholders. You've got a question: are there really no employees at Lush in the current environment that maybe have a little bit of hardship that could really benefit from that dividend? I mean, why is he turning down that dividend? It's again, that just doesn't feel ethical or moral, and there's clearly, to use a bit of a pun, something smells here. Is it a Gerald Ratner? Is it a Philip Green? There's something not quite right. I'm going to be careful what I say, but watch this space, because I suspect this is going to blow up in the public markets, probably in the newspapers. And we know when Gerald Ratner said that one of his bits of jewelry was frankly the same price as a prawn sandwich, it was the end of Gerald Ratner. I can see a similar situation happening here. Actually, whilst we're on our corporates, we should also mention that actually we had a trading statement out of Samarkand, which was actually very upbeat, really, because obviously what they're reporting on now is that what they're starting to see as China comes out of its zero COVID policy, that things are starting to pick up in China. It wasn't their fault that zero COVID took place. You can't blame them for that. It clearly did have an impact on their business, but things are now starting to pick up nicely. Unfortunately, the share price isn't picking up. So that also actually to me looks pretty interesting. If people want to have a play on the recovery in China of the consumer buying brands, then Samarkand to me looks like a very interesting opportunity to get involved in.
Yeah, it does. And I mean, they've stated that they're moving into profit as well. So yeah, well worth a look at. Something global. Yeah. And we've seen, I don't know if you saw this week, we had trips from InSilica, which tickers at ENSI, 75 million market cap, and this is a semiconductor design house. So it's fabulous semiconductors. So they don't manufacture the actual chips; they design them, but they do specialize in radio frequency chips or ASIC designs, but the technology they're designing is really advanced stuff. A lot of applications in particularly I think industrial, healthcare, automotive, so a wide range of applications. And they had interim results, and they generated 8.6 million in revenue versus 7 million in revenue, up 23%. Moved into profit from a small loss and profit about 0.7 million. But what's interesting for me in this is their order bookings, and they really are. These guys are winning business, and like our client Infinity is, they're winning orders here across automotive, industrial, satellite comms. They won a $30 million contract with an industrial OEM, not announced in July, but last week they announced a €5 million contract for a satellite broadband user terminals, and they've got a pipeline of £250 million. So I thought that was pretty positive, and the shares have been moving positively. That's InSilica that we saw. Another one, Andrew, you're pretty familiar with is GB Group.
No, don't.
Hey, well, yeah, well, I'm going to. GBG's.
My mother owns them in her own IHT portfolio. She's not happy.
Right. Well, they're the trading uptake. GBG is the ticker. It's on a March year end. And they had said that in their interim results in November, they'd reported that they'd seen, end markets were impacted in terms of their identity services, where they'd seen challenging conditions in crypto, but also from e-commerce companies. Now, their GB Group's all about identity. They have access to different global databases from Experience, credit card companies, all sorts of databases. Put it all together, and they have whole people's identities. Crypto e-commerce, whatever, identifying want to confirm identities of new customers can use their software. So that's the sort of customer base, but they've seen weaknesses. They've also gone on to say in the trading update, challenging conditions have continued in the second half. And then they've said they're expecting revenue for the full year of £279 million, various deductions involved, but pro forma revenue, cost of currency growth of 4%, operating profits of 60 million, the margin 21.5%. I mean, they're saying here that they're expecting cost of currency revenue growth like to improve gradually towards high single digits, like part of the year, strong control of costs, and F24 improving. So, well, Andrew, yes, it's not been good, but seems to be on, gradually improving. So, always a good time to have a fresh look at things, methinks.
Yeah, I mean, the trouble is that there was a bid, sort of 4 months ago at about £6 something, and that didn't happen for some reason. I mean, the bloody thing was over 10. It's now down. It was very frustrating. The only bit of good news was that Richard Longdon bought about £100,000 worth of stock on Tuesday. So maybe that's the first bit of positive news about to come out.
It will be. Is Richard Longdon the chairman, Andrew?
Is he chairman or CEO? He's a director anyway.
Yeah, it's director.
If he had to announce it, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, he's important.
Well, he is. Anyway, moving on swiftly. RWS Holdings, one we've discussed before, it's 1.4 billion market cap. RWS is the ticker. And this is and I used to cover SDL, which RWS acquired. This is in the super area. It's language services. And that is all about language translation. And, part of it you can do with Google Translate software, but also you have to complement the software translation with, of course, human translation, because you have to get everything into context. It's still not fully automated. And they, in terms of they translate across 250 languages. They're supplying, it's global organizations, and they kind of split their business between language services, regulated industries, and then they have IP services. But the regulated industries, for instance, is that's life sciences, managed healthcare, legal, financial services. So big blue chip customers. And they had an AGM trading update, and it's saying that as a full year, they're saying that they delivered another robust set of results for 22. This is against continued economic uncertainty, so clearly their customers are certainly spending with them. Cash generative, profitable growth in line with market expectations. Hurrah to that. And they're continuing unbroken record of dividend growth, for your outlook in line. So, all in all, that does look pretty decent set of results. And just looking at their, the valuation on this one, not going to cover as an analyst, but just for folks to do their own homework, it's on EV revenue multiple of 1.76 times, 1.68, EV EBITDA of 7.9, falling to 7.2. That, I think, is essentially worth a look.
Yeah, it doesn't sound expensive, does it?
No. Now,
actually, there's been quite a lot of results today, so keep rattling through. Not today, this week. Keep rattling through.
I'll keep going. Right, now this one is, I have to say, for any sort of analysis point of view, you really do need to cover properly to have a view. But nonetheless, it's our biggest defence manufacturer, BAE Systems, 28 billion market cap. BAE is the ticker. They had year-end results, and this one is paying a 2.8% div. EV revenue of 1.4 at times, and EV EBITDA of 10 times 4 to 9.6. But it's defence, right? And obviously the environment is very good for defence. And they pointed to record order intake of 37.1 billion pounds. Order intake took the backlog to 58.9 billion. Sales up by 4.4%. Free cash flow of 2 billion exceeded expectations. Always like to see strong cash. They made a few comments on here on some of these spaces of interest to us, actually. Just in terms of aerospace, which, BAE Systems is a specialist area for them, they said that maintained electronic warfare deliveries across the F-35, F-15, the fighter aircraft. this was quite interesting. They were selected to design energy management components for GC Aviation's hybrid electric propulsion systems, supporting NASA's electrified powertrain flight. Now, we know that Equipmate, our corporate client, they're involved in electrified aerospace and develop motors for it. So here you've got BAE involved in this space as well. And also related to another of our corporate clients, Pressure Technologies. You go on. Sorry, Andrew.
Yeah, before you go, because I mean, is BAE Systems, is that tech or is that industrial? But no need to answer that question, because of course the other one that also, I mean, BAE Systems is actually down today, because although it was pretty good, they weren't up necessarily more upbeat. What was interesting was Rolls-Royce, which is similar.
Yeah.
Also, by the way, does electric aircraft. Now they had results today, and what's interesting is if you've been reading the press the last 6 months, you'd have thought the results today were going to be horrific, because they've been laying horror stories out there.
Yeah.
They come out today. Of course, the figures are actually bloody good. So with Rolls-Royce, the stock, instead of actually coming off a little bit, is, believe it or not, it's up 22%. So it's all about how you lay the ground beforehand, beating expectations or not beating expectations. And they clearly tricked us a little bit, did a bit of a fool. New management in after Warren East sort of retired, came in, claimed it was all a horror show, and actually it wasn't. So actually, I think that good move is all down to Warren East. I'll put all the credit to him. Well, there you go. Anyway, sorry, I probably interrupted you there. You were carry on. I'll shut up again.
But that is a fair view. No, I can't read all this doom and gloom about Rolls-Royce. Yeah, you're right. You know, that's a fair observation there, Andrew. I was just going to say about BAE was they manufacture submarines, some of the most complex engineering that you can do, and huge projects. And they are they're the manufacturer of the Astute submarine. And on the Astute boats, our client Pressure Technologies, PRES is the ticker, supplies the huge cylinders that go into the submarines to control the air systems. But they said that the Astute Boat 5, HMS Anson, exited their Barrow shipyard to commence sea trials in February. So there's a bit of news on that there. But
submarines and aircraft carriers. Did you also see that in this TV program Tour of Duty? I haven't seen it yet. I want to go and watch this actually. That apparently a F-35 was flying off the flight deck, and the power stopped or whatever. They think that, I don't know, an engine cover or something was left on.
That was it,
and the guy ejected just within seconds. So $100 million F-35 went to the bottom of the sea.
Oh my God! Thank God! Well, thank God he got out. Well, all I can say is that there's a phrase. There's a lot more F-35s where that came from, and they said that they are producing F-35s at full rate levels, with 150 assemblies completed this year. So there we go. Moving on. Let's just move on swiftly. Spectris, SXS is the ticker. It's a 3.3 billion market cap company. I used to, as an analyst, used to follow this one. This one's a fascinating company because it's in advanced instrumentation and test equipment, so it's exposed to a lot of sectors. In business, it supplies globally. So in some ways, it's quite a good indicator of just what is going on generally in terms of industrial equipment spend. And this thing is packed with technology and software as well. And so what was quite interesting here, they have said in their results that they had seen sales growth of 14% on a like-for-like basis. And I was quite interested in this because firstly, it was a mix of volume growth and pricing, because you don't want all the growth to be inflation price rises. But they gave a breakdown in sales by sector, and this is well worth investors taking, our listeners taking a look at, actually, because they cover life sciences, technology, automotive, electronics, semiconductor, metals and mining, because they do handheld X-ray analysis tools in metals and mining, academic research. They do lots in drug discovery, instrumentation there for looking at drug compositions. So worth having a look at how all these sales that they've had are more or less nearly double-digit growth, which is quite interesting in terms of sort of capital spend. They've also said that supply chain disruption and significant material inflation impacted gross margins in the first half, but in the second half they saw reducing supply chain disruption and slowing material inflation, which is something that we've been looking out for, and improved gross margins. And overall for the year, the operating margins were up to about 16.8%. Record order books up 36% year on year, and they made a large disposals and the disposal of Omega Instruments. I remember them acquiring that for about 400 million. Did a share buyback, so things seem to be moving quite well forward for Spectris, and they upped the dividend as well.
Very good. Did you spot TT Electronics this morning?
Nope. I spotted Avingtrans. So tell us about TT.
I just wanted to catch you up. You know, every week I like to get one in that you haven't seen. Actually, TT Electronics was at top end of market expectations or above. So well done them.
Yeah. That's electronics, as I recollect, for they're involved in aerospace electronics, I think. It's one of their areas, as well as automotive.
But in the meantime, go on, you can have Avingtrans. I like Avingtrans because the chairman is my friend Roger McDowell, and he's very talented and very capable.
Right. Okay. Well, within that context, Andrew, careful what I say.
No, you better say nice things.
Yeah, I think I get the message there. Right. So Avingtrans, ticker is AVG, market cap's 123 million pounds. So May year end. And it is an engineering group, bit of an understatement here, designs, manufactures, supplies original equipment systems. Right, so the sectors it's involved are in energy, medical, and industrials, and they supply. They own Hayward Tyler, which is a pumps company. It's been around for many years. But it supplies pumps into power stations, but particularly into nuclear power stations, also subsea pumps for oil infrastructure. And so it has nuclear approvals, it supplies in states. And they've been investing more recently in advanced medical technologies, particularly 3D X-ray tech and MRI related technologies. So they reported their interim results in November. Remember, it's a May year end. The revenue was up to 50 million from 44.5 million. The gross margins, as I said, reduced marginally, 32.6% from 33.9%. And that was on sort of end business mix. But, importantly, the EBITDA, the profitability was up by 11.4% to 6.4 million. And this company has cash. So their cash was 17.3 million. Up from 16.7, but this is after further investments in the MRI technology company Magnetica, but also Adaptix, which is 3D X-ray tech, and spending on working capital as well. So that all looked, especially given the inflationary environment, pretty good result. And they said that nuclear sector orders and prospects are increasing, especially in the USA. So this is an interesting one if you want to get exposure to the nuclear sector. So yeah, well done, Avingtrans on that.
And we love cash. You never have too much cash.
Mundo. Right, and finally from me, and just there's not a lot of comment to add to this right now at the moment. This is Darktrace. The ticker is DARK, 2 billion market cap. Shares unfortunately down 21% in the last 6 months. It is looking at cyber security software. This came under attack from a short seller that issued a report. They were questioning Darktrace's accounting methods. And Darktrace have robustly, obviously, defended that. Came out with a management statement on the 1st of February. And further to that, they've said that they've appointed Ernst & Young, the accountants, to provide additional independent third-party review of its financial processes and controls. So they're saying they look forward to the outcome of the review, and they are going to report their half-year results to the 6 months ending December on Wednesday, the 8th of March. So we look forward to seeing those.
It's very interesting, this whole issue, I think, of where people write report or take a position, be it a short position, and then write a bearish report and throw it out everyone, and obviously everyone follows them, and therefore they are, for want of a word, negatively tipping, and they're becoming tipster sheets sort of thing. Which, if you think about it, it all started off back in the sort of 80s. There were tip sheets, and Nigel Ray got them all going, and then various other people sort of copied them. And basically, the financial regulators sort of banned people from buying stock and then tipping it. But actually, this is what these people are just doing in negative. And there's certain other bloggers with websites and things who do exactly the same thing. They come out with a, Uzo all round. Here's a negative bear story. The stock's going to zero when they're short. I'm not sure it should be allowed. But anyway, it's just an interesting thought. I'll move on from that. Traxxas, did you spot that one today?
Nope.
Oh, a double catch out. This is going to be a great day. Don't worry, Phil, I'll stop after this. They were actually, the trading update was completely in line with expectations, so very boring. I'll let you off on that one.
Thank you for that.
Anything else, or shall we call it a day, though?
No, I think we should call it a day. There's been enough excitement already for 1 week, but yeah, I'm looking forward to chatting next week, Andrew. I'm sure
you can never have too much excitement. Look, if anybody's got any comments, particularly on Invinity Energy Systems, because I know a lot of people do, they do actually DM me, and I'm very grateful for them. If anybody wants us to talk about anything, anybody disagrees with anything, do just get in contact with us. We're just trying to do our best to give you some ideas and keep you in touch with what's going on. That's the best we can do, but speak next week. Actually, I say we'll speak next week. I'm actually off to Toronto next week. We'll just have to see, because I may be able to do it in the morning, but we'll work it out and people will find out next week who's actually talking.
Absolutely. Well, I'll look forward to it, whatever.